Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Lionheart Radio. I wanted to get your ear for a minute before we get into this episode because I wanted to warn you if you are traveling with kids or sensitive to any kind of language or vulgar talk, then this might not be the episode for you. But that being said, we at Lionheart Radio, it's super important that we provide an unfiltered and a candid look into the not only the success of athletes, but also the mindset of athletes. And I think it's really cool to take a snapshot at top performers and not censor them, not edit them, and look at exactly how they view life, how they go through life, and, typically how they crush it. So hopefully at this point you've turned the show off if you are traveling with kids. And if not, then you've been forewarned. And on with the fucking show. All right, welcome back to Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Rick Alexander, founder of Lou Aviv in San Diego, California, and my guest today is Robert Oberst. He is a World's Strongest Man competitor, got his pro card in 2012, and among other things, he's a stand-up comedian, actor. Robert, thanks for being on today.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Don't give me too much credit for stand-up comedian thing. I went up on stage once. I don't want to offend the guys who actually dedicate themselves to that craft.
Oh, really? Where did you go? Where did you go to an open mic night?
No, I wasn't open mic night. I was invited on stage at the Comedy Store, which, I mean, if you're gonna get your feet wet, that's the place to be. But went up there and told a story and had some fun. It was a lot of fun. I think they gave me 3 minutes and I took like 8.5. I was an asshole from the beginning.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'll start from the beginning then. What is it that got you into Strongman in the first place?
Strongman for me was it's pretty. It sounds unique, but it's pretty similar to a lot of guys' stories. I played football for a long time, and I was done. It was done with me. It wasn't going anywhere, and I started working security. A friend of mine was doing it, and so I just decided one day, because he just kept bugging me about it. One day I just decided I was gonna go check it out. And went in, and on that first day, the first time I ever touched the log press, I broke the amateur world record just messing around, and put it down. And I was like, so is that any good? And he looks at me and he's like, get the fuck out of my gym. It was about a little less than 6 months later, I had my pro card and I was on my way.
Oh, damn. Okay. So did you have some insane gym numbers that he knew about? Like, what is it or was it just because you were a big guy?
Well, he and I played junior college ball together. We were rivals in high school. He was a good friend, longtime friend. And, I'm big, but everyone that I played with knew I was strong. I just built really well for lifting. It's like big barrel chest and the right length arms, big thick wrists and all that stuff. And I was still quick, which actually in strongman is a big deal. It's not like powerlifting. We're not going to stand still and do 3 lifts. We've got to move and be athletic and have cardio. So I'm built pretty much as good as you can for the sport. I wish I had a little bit shorter torso, but that's about it.
Okay. What is your size? What is your height and weight?
6'7.5". Right now I'm a skinny 375.
God damn. So before you were a strongman, before you were a pro strongman, was it weird doing anything else? What did you do beforehand?
I never had like a legit 9 to 5. In college, I worked at a group home for mentally disabled children, and I did that for quite a while. And I did construction for like a week, because as soon as you get a guy like me in a construction setting, they always want you to carry heavy shit all the way around them. So I was done with that real quick. I'm not into hard manual labor like that. It just feels like everyone's wanted me to do that since I was a kid, so I just don't like it at all. And then did security for a long time. Security guard, bouncer, that kind of stuff. It comes pretty easy, and it's good money usually.
Yeah, I bet as a bouncer, you probably didn't need to enforce your size or very much, right?
Nah, I mean, I started at like 16, so I was still at that wild age where I wanted to do that. But as you get older, well, at least for me, as I got older, I didn't necessarily want to be involved in conflict. I was much better at just talking people down and stuff. It really is easier when you're looking like me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'd imagine you could talk me out of just about damn near anything.
Yeah. It depends, man. There's these guys that come in and they're in this I'm gonna prove myself mode, and they don't care at all about size or anything. They just want to act froggy. So it happens. It's happened a few times.
Yeah, there's always the dudes that are kind of big, and they always see the biggest dude and instantly want to fight him, right?
For sure. It's always a guy who's kind of big. And it's never, the good thing is a guy who really knows how to throw down, that guy's not coming into a bar trying to fight. Like, you get like some guy who's like an MMA fighter and trained and educated in the art of violence. That guy tends to just be cool and calm. He's not coming in there trying to pick a fight. So I've been extremely lucky. I've never been on the losing end of a fight.
Yeah, there's something to say for that confidence, I think probably is what you're kind of alluding to, right? It's kind of like the same thing with like the bros in the gym, right? The guys that are actually strong don't do a lot of talking about it and flexing on other dudes,
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. You don't have to pretend because you're just that guy, and that's who you are.
Yeah, right, exactly. So when people see you competing in something like the World's Strongest Man, which is probably where a lot of people have seen you, and you're carrying cars around and things like that, it's obviously really hard to. It looks crazy, and it's hard to get a feel for what that is. So, what are some of your like basic gym numbers, I guess, that would maybe help people like get an idea about how strong someone like you really is?
Basic gym numbers.
Like deadlift.
Yeah. My deadlift has been stuck around the same thing it's always been since I started. I've got a unique background with deadlift. In football, we didn't do deadlifts. We did power cleans and hang cleans and stuff like that. So that's my lagging event. My deadlift is maxed out at 400 kilos, which is 880 pounds. Then my squat, I haven't really one rep max my squat, but it's in the nines, like mid nines ish. My bench is really good, even though I don't really max that out. My bench is probably like 650, 645, somewhere right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because for strongman, it's a lot more like the Viking press, a lot more the overhead type movement.
Right.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. And I don't neglect the bench like a lot of guys do. I think I have the strongest shoulders in America. I've got the American record in log press. I've got the second biggest overhead press in the history of the world, and I'm taking first before I'm done. I've got really strong shoulders, and I attribute that to making sure that I hit my bench press. And a lot of guys just skip out on that because they think it's predominantly a pec workout. It's a pec movement, but it's not really. Like, if you do it properly and you get enough reps and everything, it's a lot of front deltoid as well. So, like, I mean, I don't really have to make an argument for it because I'm strong enough to just say it's true and it works.
Right. So let me ask you this. In order to get more transfer from the bench to the overhead press, do you find yourself moving your hands in, closer grip on the bench?
I think it depends on your body. I've got a big old barrel chest, so my hands are really wide. But it's one of those things you gotta watch somebody do it. You gotta make sure their elbows are tucked, their back's locked, and they're coming down with control. They're not dropping it and slamming it around. I hate when I see guys throwing a weight around like it's like some kind of a rag doll. They don't have to control it. Strength isn't being able to cheat a weight around. It's being able to control the weight. So, I would say it really depends on the person. They'd have to set up right and finish right, and then you'd figure it out from there.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned when you were playing football that you worked the power clean, which is actually pretty standard, I think, for football teams. Do you work any of the Olympic movements now?
Yeah, I did 5 sets of 20 on hang cleans today.
What weight?
It was 275.
Okay. Yeah. So you said 5 sets of what?
20.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Okay. I had to get my cardio in, man. I've been in the woods for about 2 weeks and came back and I felt like working and then sweating like crazy. So I had the heater on in the gym and I was doing those, and in between those I'd sprint over to the bench press and do 20 reps on 2 plates just as fast as I could, and then take about 45 seconds off and do it again.
Yeah, for sure. When I was playing football, it was they taught the clean as like a deadlift, bang it off your thighs, reverse curl as fast as you can. Do you think, is that how you taught, or do you feel like you have
That's basically what I do. It's not very it's not proper Olympic, I'm sure. It's more of a muscle clean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but 5 sets of 270, 5 sets of 20 at 275. I don't feel like it matters if you're technically proficient or not.
Right. The muscles are getting their work in.
Right. So, all right. So one of the big differences between powerlifters and strongman is the fact that there is a conditioning piece in, other than the fact that it's more of an odd implement type strength, there's a conditioning piece as well, which is like, loading stones and carrying sandbags and things like that. So how much of your training is, I guess, maximal strength, and then how much of it is like more of the conditioning piece?
Most of it's kind of in the middle. Like I think it's very silly for people that just go out and bang 90 percentile all in and out all day every day. That's some of the dumb. You see these guys break down within months of starting and trying to figure out what to do because they're almost maxing on a regular basis. So, in my experience and in what I've studied and in talking to people that I believe do it properly, I don't mess around with that stuff. Like normally, like we'll just talk about deadlift. I only max deadlift maybe 3 times a year. If I can avoid it, I will. And then I stick to like at the least sets of like 3 or 4. I'll bang out sets of 3 or 4 all day, and then when I'm done with those, I come down and I rep it out like crazy. So I
like drop sets type stuff.
Yeah, drop sets. I like suicides, man. Suicides. I like stuff that makes you have get a gut check. That's the biggest part in this sport, in my opinion, is mental. It's so big when you get into a show. I've seen over and over and over. There's some guy who's way stronger than this other guy, but for some reason he can't fucking beat him. There's guys that are like scared of this one event, and all of a sudden like their whole day crashes because of this one thing. It happens all the time. It's every single show I've ever been to. There's somebody screwing themselves over with mental weakness. So I really push the mental game. I push it in how I act, how I talk, how I carry myself, but I push it in my training as well. Like I want to try and break myself over and over and over, and it's to the point now where, like, to break myself, I need somebody there to make sure they can pull the weight off me because that's the only way I can get to that point.
Damn, yeah. And let me ask you this. I'm always interested in what a competitor's opinion is. Do you think that mental fortitude piece can be trained, or do you think it's got to be something you're born with?
Oh, it can definitely be trained. Everyone has a choice. Excuses, man. I'm not one to take excuses no matter what. Where you say you're short, you got short arms or whatever the fuck ever your excuse is, that's all bullshit. Vitotis Lawless was in first place at World's Strongest Man, ended up finishing in second. It was 2014, 13, I don't remember. But he's 5'6". He's got second place at World's Strongest Man. There's excuses. He's a pit bull. He's a monster. So, yes, there are some things that are going to be harder for some people. But some people will take that and say, oh, life fucked me and that's the end of that. And some other people will say, hell no, that means I just got to work. And I prefer the latter.
Yeah, for sure. And when you're talking about like mental toughness, are you training it by doing these like longer type sets? Because clearly, you alluded to the fact that you were born with it. Are you training it by doing these longer sets like you mentioned, or are there other techniques, I guess? Because I'm curious for people that are listening to this that might think they're lacking in that, right? How do they train that?
Yeah. Well, what I do is I do those long sets, like I said. I just did a show in Texas about a month ago, and I knew it was going to be hot. So what I did was I made sure I was in the gym when nobody else was there, so I could turn the heater on all the way up. I wore a sweatshirt the whole time. I ran in the sun. It would be 100 degrees outside, and I'd run with a sweatshirt on. I do hill sprints in the hottest part of the day in the middle of the desert out by my house. I do a lot of different little things. I'll I'll do fasted cardio in the morning, or different things like that. Like, it really depends on what's coming up and what I have as an option around me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking for that edge all the time. I remember listening and studying Mike Tyson as a kid, and I remember him talking about he likes to get up and run at 4 o'clock in the morning because he thinks that his opponents are still asleep, and that gives him the edge. That's the mentality it takes to be a beast.
Mm. Yeah, there's a Tim Grover quote. It's like, there is no beast mode. There's only beasts, and they're like that all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It conflicts with other parts of life. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't, but if you want to be that guy, you got to just flip your mindset. It's an all day, everyday thing.
Yeah. So let me ask you about the lifestyle aspect. Is your lifestyle set up completely around being a pro strongman?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of differences when you ask that. There's levels of that. So, like, if you were to look at what Brian Shaw does all day, every day, I'd say his lifestyle is as conducive to being a strongman as possible. And I don't like that. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to be that guy. It's not worth it to stop existing in every other part of the world in my life and my friends and family and all that just to be a strongman. It's great that he does it. It's cool, and he's obviously amazing because of it.
Right.
Just that's not me, man. I mean, I'm different.
Yeah.
I like the way I do it, and I think I'm doing really good. I had to tone down the wild side a little bit and focus a little more, and then I got a little too much into it, and I realized I wasn't having fun, so I dialed it back a little. I'm at this point in my career right now where I'm healthy, I feel strong, I'm lighter than I've ever been, but stronger than I've ever been. I'm having fun, and I'm doing great. Like, I did so good at this show in Texas. I feel really excited about America's Strongest Man coming up. And, I think I'm right there. And it's focused, but fun still.
Yeah, for sure. At that show in Texas, were you there with Robert Kearney?
Yes, I was.
Okay, yeah, we had him on the show, World's Strongest Gay. So
He's
good.
a fun guy. He's fun.
So you mentioned that you had to tone the lifestyle aspect back about it. So people that follow you on social media, like, you definitely post a lot about the lifestyle, about your lifestyle, and you hashtag till the wheels fall off. What is that? What is that about?
You want the graphic version or the PG version?
No, I want this isn't CNN. I want the graphic version.
I had a guy hit me up. What was he saying? He was bugging me because it's very rare, but some people get mad that I'm not just lifting weights and being like, I pick things up and I put them down, and it's like they expect me to be that person, it's ridiculous.
Like fans?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think a fan is somebody who likes me for who I am, and that's the most part. That's what I have. Like, people love that. I don't think there's anyone else out there that's as honest as I am about stuff. There's nobody out there speaking their opinion or talking about what they do. Everyone's very guarded, and it's understandable. Social media can wreck you in a moment. It can I feed my family with this, so that can be taken away very quickly. So I understand why people are guarded. I just choose not to be, and people like me for it. So I had this guy who was just on my ass about, like, I'm in the woods and I'm doing this and I'm wakeboarding and I'm hanging out with all these girls in bikinis and what is this and that, which is, first off, it's ridiculous because I hit every single one of my workouts and put them all in videos, filmed all that stuff. I did go hard. Like, that was part of it. I went hard and showed up to some workouts in less prepared, I'd say, than I would normally be, but I'm also trying to prove a point, like trying to show that people need to have fun. And so anyways, he said something, and he said, so what does till the wheels fall off even mean to you? And the only thing, he wrote me like 8 messages, and I respond to everybody on social media as long as you're not graphic or like just being a dick. I respond to everybody. So he asked me that, and I just decided to respond. I told him, till the wheels falls off means I don't pull out, I just leave it in the soak.
Jesus Christ.
he pissed me off just the right way, man.
Dude, that probably, I want to know. I want to just be a fly on the wall when he read that.
I know. I wish I would have had him on FaceTime then, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So you mentioned, well, actually, let me ask you this then. So you mentioned fans and people reaching out to you. When people follow you on your various social media platforms or hear you on an interview, what do you want? I usually save a deeper question like this for later, but what do you want for your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember when they think about fucking Robert Oberst, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty simple, man. I just want people to remember me for who I am. It's really hard not to project something on people. You know, it's really hard, like, when you see a guy who's strong and he does this and that, not to project whatever your feelings about what that person should be on them. So, you know, I just kind of hope that people see me for who I really am, and I would hope that people understood that I wasn't judgmental. I try to be kind to everybody and open, and you know, I never pretended to be something that I wasn't. Like, I feel one of my biggest things that I try to do is make people who don't feel comfortable with themselves feel a little bit better. As I was very chubby as a kid, and I got picked on relentlessly. I had a bunch of problems with that, and then it really shaped who I was. And then all of a sudden, I get this 7-inch growth spurt in one summer, and all of a sudden, I'm a cool kid because I'm an All-American football player, right? So, like, I remember feeling the way I did, and then feeling it change all of a sudden, and my heart really goes out to those, especially those kids who are dealing with something like that. As I was also very poor. We had 10 kids, a 3-bedroom house, and throughout high school, most of it, we didn't have any electricity. So my dad would come home from work on the weekends with a little generator, plug it in, and we'd have like maybe a light and some warm water. And that was just normal life, you know? So I hope for the most part that those kids can see what I'm doing, or can, you know, hear about it, or some way or another that it would affect them and make them feel that they can do whatever they want. I coached high school football for 2 years before my career took off, and it was the best feeling in the world. When those kids, they would come up to me and they'd have these big excited eyes, and they'd be either telling me about practice or whatever they were talking about. The excitement that they had because they had me to kind of bounce things off of, and an adult who would also listen and understand what they were going through. Like, that was the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah, I bet. Do you ever reach back to people in your hometown now?
Oh yeah, there's probably 15, maybe like 17 of those kids that still write me, talk to me all the time. I just got invited. One of them just graduated college, and I got invited, and I couldn't be there, but I sent him a little card and everything.
Yeah,
And, I talk to them all the time, man. There's kids that had a lot of the same problems I did, that either coaches or teachers didn't believe that they were going to be able to be on the team, or that they were a good person to have around, or whatever the situation was. And I remember one specifically that I stood up for, and because I saw myself in this kid. He even looked exactly like I did when I was a kid. I was telling him, no, you gotta let this kid play. He's a good kid. He just needs a little bit of love, you know. And that was his sophomore year. And then when he became a senior, he was captain on the team, on a roll, and now he's going to college. And he was like about to drop out before that. So that kind of stuff, man, that feels better than any trophy or anything else like that. That stuff is for life. You feel good about it.
Yeah, for sure. And how much of your success now do you attribute to those kind of humble beginnings?
I don't know, man. I never really thought about it like that. I know I'm constantly hungry, not like in the literal sense, but figuratively. A lot of that stuff also comes like from my mom. My mom was always very positive. She was always like this voice in my head that told me I could do whatever, and I believed her because she believed it. And that, I attribute a lot of my success to that. Being poor, when you're a kid, being poor is like, it's just, when it is what it is, it just feels like it's normal. You think Everybody's like this,
Right.
right? And you get these little wake up calls, and that pops in your head like, okay, so I am different because I'm poor, but it's not the same. Like if you're poor as an adult, like you know you're poor. You know, it's a different thing. For us, it was just the way it was. You know.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that you mentioned your mom saying, you can be whatever you want, because it's an innocent thing, and I think people say it, but it's so, at a time when you're developing, it shapes your worldview. And if you have that worldview, like, you really are capable of a lot more than somebody that doesn't. That somebody that thinks like, oh, I have to go take this 9 to 5 because that's what my dad does.
Yeah, there's so many people out there that we all know who are pessimistic, or they feel like there's this limit to what they're capable of, and that's just broken into them as they grow up. Like somebody laughs at a dream that they have, or somebody tells them that they're bad at this or whatever it is. They slip and fall, and they're looking to their parents to have a little bit of support, and it's not there. Whatever that may be, whatever caused that to them, it's broken out of us. For me, it was just built up like crazy. Right? I never in my life felt like I couldn't do something, even when it was ridiculous. Like yeah, I could do that. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I have a close friend of my girlfriend's who's going through a time right now where, he just doesn't really feel like he's capable of more. I'm just curious, because you have done so much, and you're still, would say, trending upward, right? Still starting new things, trying comedy and stuff. What do you think? What do you have to say to those people, I guess? Because that's a hard mindset to get somebody out of.
Man, it's you got to constantly remind yourself of your value. Put notes up, write a little note on the mirror, have things that remind you. Like when I was in football, I used to put a rubber band around my wrist, and every time I made a mistake to whatever I was working on, or let's say I was trying to be more positive, every time I made a mistake and I wasn't positive, I just snap it real quick and then move forward. If you're trying to be positive, you don't want to soak in that, oh, I messed up again, because that's just being more negative.
Right.
You snap the band, move forward. That's it. And then it helps you, it trains you. It's stuff like that. Really, it's just a consistent effort in trying to be better, whatever that may be. And that's, I think, in everything, man. I'm constantly trying to grow every day in any way possible. I'm reading new stuff, I'm studying, trying to find new stretches or whatever it is. Like it's very important that everyone try to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And do you have a family now?
I do. I have a son.
Okay. How are you? I guess, like, how do you instill that mindset in him, I guess?
Well, he's 2, so it's
Okay.
not quite as much.
Okay.
But I'm already working on the difference, like we were saying, in being positive, the idea of faith in himself, and following through with stuff. Like those are little things that you can work in already. Like when he pulls out a book that he wants me to read with him, and halfway through he's like, oh, and he tries to take off. Like, no, we started this book. Let's sit down and finish it. Kind of stuff like that. I think that goes a long way. And hey, I might be fucking him up. I don't know. Maybe it's like the worst thing I could ever do. But he's gonna grow up and be addicted to freaking weird shit because of me. But
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I interview a lot of people through this podcast, and a lot of successful people. And one of the things that I always think about is success leaves clues, right? And having that growth mindset is something that I would say 98% of people that I interview just tend to have. They're very open and addicted to that growth in everything that they do.
It's shaped who I am. It definitely has.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a couple of training questions for you. So you said that you're right now, you're at a slim 375. How much did you weigh prior to Strongman?
I graduated high school at 375. I was 420 pounds when I was in Africa. My last World's Strongest Man, I tore my bicep.
Oh, shit. Okay. So you had to take some time off then for that torn bicep, huh?
Right, yeah.
Did you get surgery?
No, it didn't tear all the way through, and it was in the meat of the bicep. So I was very lucky that it didn't go all the way through, because you can't actually get surgery on that part of your bicep.
Damn, okay. Did you do it on stones?
No, I did it on these stupid barrels we were loading. It was big metal barrels that we were throwing up, and I felt it go on the first barrel, and I loaded 2 more like an asshole. I should have stopped, but I got lucky.
Yeah. So how are you treating it then if you weren't able to do surgery?
It's all good now.
Just time, you just rested it?
Oh yeah. It's just leave it alone.
Okay.
And a little bit of massage therapy, but even with that, it wasn't much of that until towards the end.
Okay. Yeah. Did you in ice and just like anti-inflammatory shit like that?
Yeah, the real trick to like feeling better is just cocaine and waffles.
Yeah, always.
Sure. You off guard there, huh?
Yeah. If those can't fix it, you're probably fucked, huh?
You're fucked, man. Have you ever seen a truck driver that looks like he's having a bad time?
No, I guess not. So, all right, next question. Fasted cardio. Is that something you do a lot?
I do it 4 to 6 times a week, depending on how froggy I feel.
Okay. And what's the reason for that?
Because it's hard. Because it's good for me.
Okay, like body composition, or is it more of like no, because it's a difficult thing to do and it's a good way to start your day?
It's for me. I like explosive. I don't do like long distance cardio. I have a trail that I hike. I hike to the base of this switchbacks part of this trail, and it's about a mile in. And then the switchbacks is it's in my last video I put up. It's about 50. It's about maybe 200 yards ish. It might be like 170.
Okay.
Switchbacks, and it's pretty steep. So I get to the base, and then I sprint that as hard as I possibly can. And I walk back down, take 5-10 minutes, and then I hit it again, and then I walk home. And, I do that on an empty stomach because it's harder. And I do that sprint because that's actually more applicable to what I do.
Sure.
Long distance cardio doesn't really work for big guys.
Right.
But if you're doing sprints, recovering sprints, that's football cardio. That's what I've been doing since I was 13. So I'm good at that.
Yeah. Goddamn, dude, if I sprinted first thing in the morning, I'm tearing my hamstrings up.
Well, wait, it's hot here first thing in the morning, too. So you just warm up. Plus, when you walk a mile in and it's pretty uphill, you're warmed up by the time you get there.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. And do you use any supplements at all?
Yeah. I work with GAT supplements, and what I like to do daily right now, I do protein, obviously. I do protein. They've got a great one that's like really low carbs, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm not trying to be as fat as possible. Like a lot of guys have this idea, like the bigger you are, the stronger you are. I went on the Arnold stage, and I was 427, and I felt like garbage. I'm 370-ish right now, maybe a little lighter. And I feel stronger than I ever was. So it's not, I don't believe in this whole, the bigger you are, the stronger you are shit. I think that's lazy people's excuses for eating like shit and not doing cardio.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. So what I do is I take sport greens, which is like vitamins and stuff. It was made by a guy who works with Olympic athletes in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Okay.
It's so like a lot of these greens that people take, you don't absorb them for some reason. I can't give you the science background on all this shit.
Yeah.
I just know that when they test your levels, it actually works. I do that and omega-3 fish oils, aminos, and then glutamine. I put glutamine in all my shakes.
Okay. And so what is your diet like then? So you said you're not one of these guys that just crushes carbs.
No, I do mostly the only carbs I do a day right now are I get 1 cup of rice with chicken in one of my meals. My first meal of the day is like the best tasting meal, and it's cereal and a shake.
Okay.
Like cinnamon toast crunch. Like it's really good. I got a good nutritionist, Nathan Payton, who does Brian Shaw's nutrition, a couple other guys. He's really, really good. And we dialed it in, man. We tinkered with it for a while. We went keto for about 4 weeks to get me going. Holy crap. Keto.
Rough,
heavy lifting will kick your ass. I'm a nice guy, but I turned into an asshole. Like week 2, I was freaking out on people. It was brutal.
Yeah, keto, it's rough. I have a lot of experience with it, actually. Did you find that your top end lifts went down a lot when you were in keto?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, I can't say how how that applies to other people. Like in my experience, I went from eating anything and everything to going keto, and like I was lifting maximal weights at the time I was prepping. So like in that case, it's a stupid call, except for my goal was to drop the weight, and it worked. It was rough, but it worked.
Yeah, no, it's brutal. I think there's a ton of application for an endurance athlete, and then I think that maybe it works for some people, but everybody I've talked to that's tried it for maximal strength has seen their shit kind of fall pretty hard.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, even it took me a long time to even get used to as little carbs as I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me about, like 2-3 months before I was like, okay, I'm me again, I'm good. But now, like, man, I'm telling you now, if I cut down carbs for like 2 days and then I have a cheat meal, I'm shredded in the morning. I'm all veiny and like have side abs and shit. What 300-pound guy has side abs?
Zagurnus, that's the only one.
No, he doesn't have side abs. I promise you that.
No?
Definitely not.
All right. It sounds like...
I'll tell you a story about Big Z before when he was big.
Sure.
So my first World's Strongest Man, we were in China, and I was the only rookie in the finals. I was really happy to be there, and it was a good time and everything. It was the day we were flying out, and I wanted to go down to the shore one last time, just have a little moment to myself, and walk down to the beach. We're in Sanya, China. Walk down to the beach, and I'm sitting there in the sand, just looking out. You can see, I don't remember if it's Thailand or something like that. You can see one of the islands right across, and it's just really cool looking. So I've been there, and it's time to go. So I get up, and I turn around to walk back up this hill to head back, and there's Big Z just standing there in his tiny little Speedo, just staring off into the water. Just the smallest Speedo you can imagine. The biggest gut that Z's ever had, like the huge gut. And he's got this look on his face like he wants to pick a fight with the ocean,
Uh-huh.
That's just how he looks. And as I'm walking, I'm realizing that somebody's, as I get around towards the side, I'm realizing somebody's rubbing oil on him. And it's Vitotis Lawless in another Speedo rubbing him down with oil while he's standing there just mean mugging the ocean with his big old gut hanging out.
What the fuck?
Oh, man. Eastern Europeans, they don't give a fuck about that stuff, man. It's like, whatever.
So did you make fun of him, and that's why now he got really cut?
No. I would never make fun of the strongest man who ever lived. I have a lot of respect. Okay. I'm telling that story. It's honest, so I can tell it. But I would never make fun of him. That man is a hero to me.
Yeah. No, yeah. He is an absolute savage.
Freaking monster. The time he put in, how healthy he was, just the whole list of attributes. Like, people don't even realize that guy, 20 plus years banging weights for a living, and he's never disappeared. Like, he never had to take a year off because of injury. He never ran away because of this or that. Like, he got banged up a little bit, but he just kept soldiering through it. It's crazy. It's savage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know I want to be cognizant of your time, so I just want to ask you a couple more questions. So, for people that are listening to this, you've been really successful at making your passion not only a lifestyle, but also a profession. And a lot of times when people have these, like, they're passionate about a niche sport like strongman or something, that's a really difficult thing to do because there's not always a ton of money into it. So how do you think, what do you contribute to your success? And then how do you think other people could probably be successful based around what they might be passionate about?
Well, the first thing was when I got into the sport, I never listened to anybody tell me that I couldn't make money at it. I mean, like I told you, like I have that ridiculous faith in myself.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to do it. I didn't know how. I didn't even understand the sport. I had to Google it. The day I decided to figure what this was out, on the same day I decided I was going to make this my form of income, I was literally Googling what is strongman. And that was like almost less than 5 years ago. So it was a mentality going in that I wasn't going to fail. There was no way that I wasn't going to make this work. And it's going to take that. If you want to make a sport like this pay you or something else that's, comparable in size, you're going to have a lot of fucking faith in yourself.
Yeah.
You can't come in pussyfooting and think, oh, it'll figure itself out. That doesn't work that way.
Right.
You got to come in swinging. What I did was I didn't neglect the entertainment aspect of this show. I didn't neglect that. I knew the value of being memorable, of being open and vulnerable. Being vulnerable, people don't understand the value of that. Like, it's, if you want people to relate to you, they gotta have some sense of who you are.
Hmm.
Like, you can't put up a big wall, pretend to be something you're not, and have droves of people come flocking to you. It doesn't happen like that. People have got to feel connected to you in some way, or they're not going to be there to click on your links and buy your stuff and follow you. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So I knew that it wasn't just about being the strongest. It was about being memorable, being entertaining, and you gotta sell your ass, man. Like, I would walk around expos and speak to everybody, and I would I would go back and forth between, overly confident and overly respectful, I would call it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So like tried to play that out and see which one was working the best. I wrote emails and I did a lot of stuff, and it came together out of persistence. And that sounds silly because it only took me about 2 years to where I was set up. But in those 2 years, I never took a single day where I wasn't contacting someone, reaching out to somebody, trying to find out what's this supplement company doing and how come they don't have athletes. And if this company has athletes, why am I not one? And like things like that. Like, I was never off for those 2 years. I never was like, oh, I'll figure it out tomorrow, or take a list and put it together for the weekend. Every single day I was chasing it.
Yeah, and I can double down on that because I've owned a few companies that have sponsored athletes, and it's as a company, it's super hard to get a return on your investment in an athlete. So having an athlete that is focused on something like that is super fucking important.
Yeah, and you got to show it too. You got to realize when you're talking to a company you want to sponsor you, it's a job interview, but it's like 20 times a job interview. And you got to show them, like you said, it's really hard to get your return on an athlete.
Yeah.
You have to show them in minutes that you're the guy that'll give them that return, or girl.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people are attracted to you based, one, because you have that blind faith, and two, because you're very real about the journey, and then three, because you know what it takes to make it, which is selling something, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Speaking of selling something, I know you have a ton of sponsors, so we should probably plug On The Go towels right now for linking us up. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, On The Go towels. The people who take care of me, it's simple. It's GAT supplements, like I told you guys what I take. And they don't just support me, they support Strongman. They support shows, put stuff together. The difference in athletes and the opportunities they have since GAT got involved has been huge. It's one of those things that people need to pay more attention to. We had MHPs bringing people out and signing them and stuff, and it was all these top guys, and it was kind of all we had. Then all of a sudden, there's like 7 different companies now that have guys, and then there's more interested and things like that. That's all from GAT. GAT's growth that literally brought all of that to us. Other people started seeing the success, seeing how it was working, and it started coming out. So I think the sport of strongman itself owes GAT a thank you. But I'm obviously biased as well.
Yeah, but that's rare too, right? Finding a company that's willing to invest in the athletes. On the flip side, that is hard.
Yeah, especially like they'd never done it before. They were bodybuilding guys. That's all they'd ever had.
Right.
And they took me on, and it worked. It just clicks. We're a good combo, and it's helped out with other guys. I mean, there's other companies that are following in GAT's not footsteps, but their kind of business plan because it's worked so well. But they got them, and then On The Go towels has been really nice. They set us up with this whole. We just did a tour called Till the Wheels Fall Off. Literally just got home, and it was wild and fun and crazy and all that stuff. And I really wanted to show the other side of what we do, rather than just another gym video.
Yeah.
Just wanted to show some fun, and we do. We have a lot of fun. We have too much fun in some of them. I crashed a fucking Vespa.
Yeah.
You know what sucks? The Vespa thing, like, I was just fucking around. We didn't even have a camera on me, and nobody was around. I was just fucking around and crashed the damn thing. They would have been worth it if somebody saw it or somebody recorded it.
Yeah.
Because then it'd be fine. I'm cool with looking like a dick if it like people think it's funny. I'm fine with that. But when I bust myself up for nothing, I was pissed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I was flipping around in the street, and it was, a Vespa, like, it's the handle brake is kind of more like a bicycle's brake. You got to really squeeze the shit out of it. It's not like a motorcycle. Like, I'm used to riding motorcycles, and you can just two-finger touch the brake, and it slows you down and all that. So with the Vespa, you got to really squeeze it. So I'm trying to turn around, and I'm squeezing the brake, and I accidentally crank the throttle, and I'm halfway across the street, cranking the throttle. I hit the curb sideways, flipped forward off the Vespa, and I went ribs first into a stop sign, fell down, busted my knee all up. The Vespa had the biggest dent I fucking could have put into it without it breaking in half. It was fucked up, but.
Yeah, and just like that, we know the real meaning of till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, exactly.
Power brake a motor scooter.
Exactly. You
Nice.
know what's funny was on the last day, my wheel bearing on my tire busted, and my wheel literally fell off my truck. So we were like stuck on the side of the road fixing my wheel like this. We should not have named the tour till the wheels fall off.
That's awesome. What was the tour? What was it about?
It was just that, man. It was trying to promote how we deal with strength and with our style, our flavor.
Nice.
I want people to have more to life than this single-mindedness. And there's a lot of people out there who they latch onto this one thing. And it's like, okay, I've got my 9 to 5, but the only thing I'm living for is this one little thing, whether that be getting drunk on the weekend or this TV show or whatever your thing is. If it's weightlifting or anything like that, we need to diversify. We need to open our minds up, have fun, get out there and actually live life. Don't get caught up in these one thing or these little, like, there's so many people who will live and die by a number that they lift or anything even similar to that. And I think that we'd all be a lot happier if you went out and hiked in the woods once in a while and just had some fun. Go take some friends and go jump in a lake and swim around. There's just way more to life than any one thing, no matter what that one thing is.
Right. Yeah, when you're passionate about something, it's really easy to get entrenched in that thing so far so like that you end up fucking hating it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, especially with training, right? Dudes end up spending, like, it's happened to me, like, you end up spending, like, 6 hours in the gym, and then you get to a point you're like, what the fuck am I even doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
And life just keeps passing you by, and pretty soon you're doing it out of routine, and you're not even having fun anymore. Like, what's the point?
Right, exactly. So that's actually a perfect segue into the Lionheart Kicker. So the Lionheart Kicker is if you could give blanket advice, and it were guaranteed to be translated in every language, guaranteed everybody would hear it. They might not all follow it, but they would hear what you said. What would you tell people?
I would say be yourself, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you or anyone else. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of follow-on questions. I really I like that.
It's simple, it's straightforward, it's exactly what I believe in. I started wearing pink shoes in competitions, and people would always give me shit at the beginning, like, it's not a tough guy thing to do, but in my mind, whatever the hell I'm doing, that's what a tough guy would do, because I'm actually a tough guy. Right. So I didn't feel like I had to bend to other people's wills. And I think it's something that a lot of people can take a little lesson from.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I would even wager that actually paid off for you even more, right? Because it made you more memorable in what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it worked out great for me.
Yeah. But do you ever have those feelings? Do you ever have like a feeling like, damn, maybe like, I just think with a lot of people that are listening to this, it's easy to do something because I guess because you think that's what people want to see of you, right? Or hear of you. So that seems like it's easier said than done, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Most definitely. And I get stuff like that all the time. This whole tour was risky. It would have been much easier for me to just work out in the gym and keep putting up little numbers and simple things like that, it's so much easier for me not to step out of that little niche comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it anyways. I literally repeatedly told stories just in this podcast about doing shit specifically because I think it's hard or I don't want to do it. Just 2 days ago, I'm terrified of heights. Like, terrified. I can't even climb a fucking ladder.
Okay.
I'm scared to death of heights. 2 days ago, we're at the lake. We drive by and I see this guy jump off a rock into the lake. And I was like, stop the boat. We got to go over there. I got to do this. It was the last day that we were out there. And I felt like I saw that because I needed to do it. Like, I had to do something, like, to push one of my biggest fears, you know, and I freaking jumped out the boat, swam over, climbed up, and I'm on top of the rock, like, shaking, just scared to death. And I was like, you know what? You just got to fucking do it. And jumped out, and obviously I'm okay. Everything was great. And then when you come up from the water after something like that, it's fucking beautiful, man. It feels great. Like, my coach used to always tell us in football, there's no pain in the end zone. And that's the truth. You don't feel pain in the end zone. Whenever it's hard to do something, whatever, when you don't want to do it, when you're scared to do it, after you're done, all that stuff is gone. It doesn't exist in the end zone.
Yeah, hell yeah. Did you have a moment when you stood on that cliff and you were like, why the fuck did I say I would do this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's on tape. I got it. I'm going to post it. It's on tape. I'm up there and I look over and my best friend Kale's filming. And I was like, why the fuck did I do this? I'm terrified of heights. And then I'm looking down and then you see me just shrug my shoulders and go, fuck it. And I jump. Oh man, I was like really scared. I almost pulled back and didn't, but it's one of those things. Like, I felt that fear, it was something that I needed to feel. It's something that I had to do. You don't need to go out there and, like, you know, try and break your neck and do crazy shit all the time, but you need to do stuff that scares you. You have to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. If I could sum up a lot of what you said, you know, a lot of this interview, it seems like, to me, just listening as a bystander, it seems like you've bet on yourself consistently and it's fucking paid off for you. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty much it, man. And even if it hadn't paid off, I would still do it the same way. Even the stuff that I've done that hasn't worked out, it's way better to me than having to, you know, tuck my tail in and try and do what somebody else wants me to do or anything like that. Like, at least this way, you get to ride around a free man, you know. You're not stapled down like a lot of people are. You see people who just, they hate their life completely and they choose to do the things that they hate, even though they know it's killing them. They know it's like causing cancer and all this other shit. I got way darker than I wanted to there. You know, it's that kind of stuff. It's everywhere. I would say it's the majority of the population.
100% agree.
That right there, it would be really cool if there was people who just decided to shake that shit off and move forward. You know, I think a lot of our problems would dissipate. I think we would be smarter and happier as a country. It's something that I hope that maybe, you know, enough people we get trying and promoting that idea, the better chance we have at least helping somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you make a decision to, you know, live on your feet rather than die on your knees, you know, and you know.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. And when you fail, you know, you learn from it and then you move on smarter and better.
Yeah. Dust yourself off and go again, man. That's the American dream.
Yeah.
You dig a hole so big you don't know how the fuck you're going to get out. And
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. I really appreciate you taking the time, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. I hope that the information from today's show will make you fitter, happier, and healthier. For the show notes of this episode and every episode, head to www.lionheartrad.io. Yep, just like Lionheart Radio. And please, if you have the time, head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us to know that we're on the right track and delivering you reliable information and value. As always, feedback is welcomed. If you have any comments on the show or would like to suggest a guest, send me an email at rick@luavive.com. That's LUAVIVE.com. LHR.com. Thanks for your support, and we will see you next time.
Bitch, I feel good. Don't I look stupendous? My shine is so endless, and shit you can do to end this. Even when I'm dead, niggas still gon' bump that chip shit. Coke, white, Escalade on cinches for you dipshits. So you won't forget this. Midwest nigga be the coldest. Cleveland is